Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Carrying on with Babul Anjas. Inshallah, today we'll be finishing it off. And then after that comes Kitab Salah. So we've got two masail left. The first is they speak about Tathirun Najasa. Tathir means to cleanse. So if you've got some Najasa that's on a place, what do you clean it with, or how do you clean it? So here they tell you that this Najasa could be divided into two. That which has an ayn, which has a body which is visible, and that which is not visible. Okay, give you an example. Something that's visible, for example, a stool or dung, etc., blood, something like that. Something that's not visible, for example, urine on a carpet, etc. Say what you can see and what you can't see. Say something you can see, something that's solid, something that's najasa in the form of an object. They say that you clean it by removing this najasa. So the minute this najasa has been removed, then this place becomes clean. That's why they gave you the example on the leather socks. Said if you've got najasa, if it's something visible and you wipe it and it's gone, then it's okay. So similarly here, as long as the najasa is removed, okay, and it's got a physical property, something you can see, it's something that has a body. Here, they tell you that if it's removed, then it becomes clean. And when it comes to something that's doesn't have a solid physical form, something visible. So for example, najasa in liquid form, here they tell you that you cleanse it by washing it. How many times do you wash it? You wash it until you quite sure that it's been clean. So you've got, for example, urine on a person's sleeve. So if he takes it, puts it under the tap, rubs it a little bit, he's quite sure that, you know what, now it's washed, then it's done. So that's what they want to tell you. Ayn can be removed regardless of how. And this, if it's not ayn, if it's something liquid, then you remove it with water. Then they come to the last mas'ala, and that is of al-istinja. Istinja, when a person goes to relieve themselves, then how do they cleanse? So firstly, they tell you in the Hanafi madhab, istinja is sunnah mu'akkada, highly recommended. Now, if you could divide this najasa into two again, okay, that comes out from the private parts. That which came out from the private parts and hasn't spread to any other part of the body, okay, so that which hasn't spread, here a person is allowed to use what they call hijara, stones, or whatever is similar to it. In our terms today, toilet paper, etc. So if they use that and that alone, it's enough, on condition that the najasa hasn't spread to more than his private parts. And number two is if this najasa, hold on, still number one. So firstly, if it hasn't spread, you can use stones or anything similar. So for example, paper or tissue paper in our time, etc. Or you can use water. So here you notice how you have an option. Why? Because the najasa hasn't spread. Then they tell you, if the najasa has spread, so for example, if a person got a running stomach and the najasa spreads onto part of their thigh, here the najasa has spread and passed the private parts, you have to use water. Okay, you have to cleanse with water. to use hijara is not enough. Okay? So again, to recap, istinja, when a person cleanses himself after relieving themselves, either this najasa has either this najasa is has just come out of the private parts and hasn't spread to any other part of the body. Then here you have an option. Either you can use similar to stones or whatever is similar to it in terms of toilet paper, or you can use water. And if you want, you can use both. And if this najasa has spread, then you have to use water. And then they give you a mas'ala where they say that a person shouldn't make istinja with something that's got value or something that's respected. So, for example, you're not allowed to use food to make istinja. So, a person can't take, for example, bread or leftover food, etc., to make istinja. Nor can they use dung. Dung meaning from animal droppings. Nor can they, or nor should they make istinja with their right hand. Istinja is made with the left hand. And with that, walillah alhamd, we come to the end of Kitab al-Tahara. We took quite a few masail. If you had to count these masail, you would find that they add up to, well, yes, Ibrahim, correct. A person is also not allowed to use bones to make istinja. Correct. So, yeah, if you count the masail, what we've taken so far. So, for example, when it comes to water, there's so many masail. And when it comes to wudu, there's so many masail. And that's how fiqh is. Fiqh is just a large collection of masail, and you learn the mas'ala and you learn the answer, and eventually you learn the piece of evidence, and eventually you understand the piece of evidence, and eventually you debate that piece of evidence, and you carry on. Any questions with what we've taken? Inshallah, when we get back, Bismillah, we'll start with Kitab al-Salah. Salah is one of the longest chapters in the books of fiqh. Whatever masail you've got, when you've learned, try to practice upon them, revise them, make notes of them, expand on them. Ask your local scholars about them also, and teach others. And that's how you find when you teach others, you yourself will remember those masail. And at times you might think of a mas'ala because you learned the rule, and then you might think, okay, what if this happens? Or built upon this is another mas'ala and don't know the answer. And you go and look for it, etc. There's no questions. We'll move on to grammar, inshallah. So from next week, inshallah, we won't have lessons every day, maybe 3 days in the week. I'll tell you which days. We'll start off with probably tafsir or adhkar, one of the two. And if there's a day where we're having both of them, inshallah, we'll take both. So what we'll start off is with the last 3 surah. Surah Al-Ikhlas, Surah Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Nas. My aim is, inshallah, in the next 3 weeks, at least we can finish the last 10 surahs. If we can finish the last 10 surahs, as well as Surah Al-Fatiha, bi'idhnillah, that's what most people read in their salah. 99.9% of people's salah is Surah Al-Fatiha and a surah from the last 10 surahs. So inshallah, if we go through that in detail, and bi'idhnillah, Allah make it easy, we can write it out, then inshallah, you would all share in that reward, and bi'idhnillah, it will benefit yourselves, myself, as well as others. And we'll go through some of the adhkar, which are warid and sahih and authentic from the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And we'll go through a few masail in nahu. That till about the first week of December, inshallah. If there's no questions, then we can carry on. Okay, carrying on. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We had, when taking grammar, we took marfu', And I think we've understood marfu. After that, we moved on to mansub. Mansub, some word can be mansub with fatha, or we said with kasrah, or alam غير what else? We said alif, asma'ul khamsa, abaka. And this one we didn't finish yesterday. 4, we said at times maybe ya. When will it be ya? Yesterday we took tathniyah. So when it's dual, it will be marfu' with ya. So for example, جاء مسلماني. 2 Muslims came. مسلماني is fa'il. مرفوع علامة رفعه الألف. Why? Because it's تثنية. Then you can say رأيت مسلمين. I saw 2 Muslims. 2 مسلمين منصوب. Why? Because مفعول به. وعلامة نصبه الياء. Why? Because it's تثنية. Also, when it comes to jam', when it comes to plural, here it will be مرفوع with منصوب with ياء. Okay. إن المسلمين. مسلمين اسم إن منصوب وعلامة نصبه ياء. Why? Because it's جمع مذكر سالم. So here you've got تثنية and جمع. They will be منصوب with ياء. Thereafter the last one, I tell you, حذف النون. حذف means to cancel. حذف النون. When is this? فعل مضارع that has that extra connection, or they say أفعال الخمسة. It's 5 أفعال that have an extra noon with them. So for example, when we took the ones that don't have any extra أضرب, it becomes منصوب with فتحة أضرب. However here, for example, يضربون. Okay, يضربون is مرفوع. Why is مرفوع? Because it has a noon. Now, a letter that makes فعل مضارع منصوب if it comes before, for example, أن. Here, how do you make this فعل مضارع منصوب? You cancel the noon, so it becomes يضربوا. أن يضربوا. Okay, so يضربون, تضربون will become منصوب by cancelling the noon. تضربين will become منصوب by cancelling the noon. تضربي. يضربن will become mansub by cancelling the noon, etc. Example in the Quran, Allah says, لن تنالوا البر. Originally it's تنالون, to reach, in its form مرفوع. However, لن makes فعل مضارع منصوب. So here they dropped the noon. So it became, instead of لن تنالون البر, it became لن تنالوا البر. Okay. So that's how they took out the noon. So it's exactly the opposite of marfu. Marfu is fi'l mudari if it's got some addition to it. Marfu with noon. And mansub, you cancel the noon. And then inshallah, next week we'll move on to majroor. And then you've got majzoom. They're not too long. Any questions?
Sheikh, the example you gave us for والياء التثنية رأيت مسلمين, and for جمع, for, because this is also جمع.
مسلمين. Originally it's muslimuna, and then you the wow shows you it's marfu. So you have to remove that sign of marfu and you put the ya, so it becomes muslimina. Mu'minuna marfu will become mu'minina. That's why in the 22nd juz you find all these are there. إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين. All that is mansub. How is mansub? Because of inna. Inna, you learn. Now it's right now they still giving the bird's eye view of, okay, this will be marfu, this, then they going to go into detail for every single one, inshallah.